So the leadership over at Star Wars is in big trouble. The leadership over at Disney in general is in big trouble. The mainstream media is starting to turn on Disney. Disney is being exposed by the people who were their allies, by the people who always took their side. These mainstream media outlets that always took Disney's side, that always made Disney look like this pure company, this kid-friendly, this child-friendly, this family-friendly, pure company that only made pure content. They're making them look bad now, and the only reason why they're making them look bad is because they're finally starting to tell the truth. And the worst part is they're not even telling the whole truth yet. They're not even allowing themselves to go all in on Disney yet, to go all in on exposing Disney yet, because they don't want to lose Disney as an ally altogether, but they can't help themselves. They have to tell the truth at some point. They have to turn into real journalism companies at some point, or people are going to stop listening, because people, the general public, people like me who always thought Disney was this pure company, this family-friendly company. I always thought the entire Disney company was just like Disney World, the happiest place on earth, but it's not like that. They will do anything they have to make money, even though they do extremely shady stuff over in China for China. They do extremely shady stuff all the time just to make profits, and these mainstream media outlets are finally starting to expose that because the general public is starting to see it. The general public is starting to see through these false reports that these mainstream media outlets are giving, and they're starting to see that these people are lying in order to keep Disney on as an ally. And because the general public is finally starting to figure that out, these people like Variety, Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, they're all forced to start reporting the truth instead of just reporting what Disney wants them to report. They're all starting to report that Disney is not this pure company. They report that Disney is this bad company that will do anything they have to in order to make a profit. And I'm not saying that's the worst thing in the world. That's what most companies do nowadays. Most companies will do anything that they have to turn a profit, to make a profit, to make money off of their fans, and rightfully so. That's what you should be doing as a company. You need to make money in order to keep your company going, in order to keep your company afloat. So I'm not saying that's the worst thing in the world, but Disney advertises themselves as this pure company, as this family-friendly company, and that's how the general public sees them. But now that the tide is turning, now that people like me and other people in this YouTube space are finally speaking out, are finally showing everyone what Disney really is, what Star Wars really is, what Lucasfilm really is, every other property under Disney, anything that's under Disney is a shady company, is a shady property. And it seems like nowadays Disney isn't even shy about doing it. They're not even shy about being shady. They do it in broad daylight. They do things in China that would not be acceptable by any other company. They would be canceled if it was any other company, but because Disney has these allies, they have allies like Variety, like Hollywood Reporter, like Deadline, people that always do Disney's bidding for them. They refuse to expose Disney. They refuse to show the general public what Disney is really doing. But like I said, that's all changing now. Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, even Forbes turning against Disney altogether, finally exposing the truth about Disney. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. So this article from Bounding Into Comics says Hollywood media turns on Disney, exposes their China agenda. The Hollywood Reporter might be sensing a shift in the tide as they readily expose Disney's China agenda in a very lengthy article discussing the relationship between Hollywood and China. The article opens up with outing Disney's China agenda by publishing part of an email sent to members of the press instructing them to describe Nomadland director Chloe Zhao as Chinese or Chinese national. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Disney executive emailed, "Please note in your ongoing coverage of Nomadland that Chloe Zhao is a Chinese filmmaker. You may accurately refer to her as Chinese or Chinese national." For months, the studio had been making clandestine efforts to avoid agitating the Chinese Communist Party when it came to Zhao. In fact, they report that sources told them that a Disney publicist through Searchlight persuaded the small, New York-based filmmaker magazine to remove a quote from a 2013 Zhao profile in which the budding amateur explained the inspiration for her first feature film, Songs My Brother Taught Me. The quote in question read, "It goes back to when I was a teenager in China, being in a place where there are lies everywhere." This is getting absolutely ridiculous how much Disney panders to China. I don't understand it. I don't understand how they cannot know that America doesn't like China. The American citizens, and we'll talk about that later on in the video, they talk about that later on in the article, the American citizens do not like when you pander to China for obvious reasons. And a lot of Disney's money does come from China. I fully understand that. I understand why they would want to pander to China. If you just fully pander to America and stop doing the shady stuff in China, yes, you might lose some Chinese money. Yes, you might lose a lot of Chinese support, but you would still make pretty good money off China if you just did good things instead of doing the shady stuff in order to keep China on as an ally. If you just did stuff that good people do, just be normal people, be organically good people about creating your content, stop doing this shady stuff, you would still keep a lot of Chinese support. Yes, you would obviously lose some Chinese money, but you would gain so much American support that it would make up for it tenfold, in my opinion. Maybe it's not like that. Maybe you could tell me why it's not like that in the comments. She added, "You felt like you were never going to be able to get out. A lot of info I received when I was younger was not true, and I became very rebellious towards my family and my background." I went to England suddenly and relearned my history. Studying political science in a liberal arts college was a way for me to figure out what is real. Arm yourself with information and then challenge that too. China is a bad place, man. China is not a good place to be. China is not a good place to pander to. Americans, like I said, do not like China for obvious reasons. Listen to what this lady is saying about China. You felt like you were never going to be able to get out. A lot of info I received when I was younger was not true, and I became very rebellious towards my family and my background. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they're feeding them misinformation? It's not a good place. I'm not going to go into the entire thing here, but obviously you can research it yourself. China is not a good place. It's not a good place for Disney to be pandering to in terms of the optics for Americans, because we don't like communists around here. It is what it is. Communists are not good people, and that's what China is. That quote led to immense backlash among Chinese social media users, so much so that the CCP banned the Oscars due to Zhao's comments. Not only did they ban the Oscars, but they also scrubbed Zhao's victory from Chinese social media websites and the Chinese-controlled internet. Do I really have to say anything more? Like I said, horrible place to live, horrible place to be, just horrible people running that country, as well as horrible people running Disney as well, so I guess they kind of fit together perfectly. The Wall Street Journal reported 2 state media reporters told the Wall Street Journal that they had received orders from China's propaganda ministry not to report on Miss Zhao's victory, despite what they described as her status as a Chinese national because of previous public opinion. But it's not just the Oscars where Zhao is facing backlash. This is a report from Variety that Zhao's upcoming Eternals movie may get banned from China after the movie was left off of a CCTV6 China movie channel listing of the upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 4 films. Both Eternals and Shang-Chi were left off the list. They did include release dates for 8 other MCU films though. Now, why would these 2 films get left off the list? Why would Eternals and Shang-Chi of all films? Take a second to think about that in your own head. Variety's Rebecca Davis explained the omission might seem small, but its significance lies in its provenance. The channel is under the jurisdiction of China's powerful propaganda department, which has the final word on film approvals. And here we go into why Disney needs China. Why does Disney pander to China so hard? This is why exactly. It's because of the money. Like I said, Disney will do anything for money, and I'm not saying that's wrong. Companies should do that. Companies should go after the money. They need money to stay afloat. They need money to be successful, but the way Disney advertises themselves as this pure company, they make a name off of that. They make a name in the general public off being this pure family-friendly company that can never do any wrong. Well, I hate to break it to everyone, but they're the complete opposite. Disney is not a pure company. They do a lot of shady stuff, especially with China. Not only would they lose possibly an over $100 million grossing film, but Disney also has to cater to China because of their park business. Hollywood Reporter claims Disney never weighed in on Hong Kong nor the substance of the situation in Xinjiang, but if it had, President dictates that the lights inside the Magic Kingdom at its vastly larger and more lucrative Shanghai Disney Resort would have gone dark instantly. So like I said, they're making a lot of money off of China. I fully understand why they're pandering to them, but at some point you have to make the decision that this is too much. You have to go too far in order to pander to China at this point. China is just such a bad place that it's so hard to defend them. If you're Disney, you have to realize the optics that you're giving out to the general public. You have to realize that pandering to China at some point is just going to make you lose money rather than gain. At some point, it's not worth the money that you're making off China right now in order to pander to them. It's just not worth it. You're going to lose a lot of fans. You're going to lose a lot of support in America if you keep doing stuff like that. And that's what this article says. Maybe it's time for Disney to start having an American agenda rather than a Chinese one. And if the current Disney leadership isn't willing to do that, then maybe the US government should intervene. That's very true. You have one of the biggest companies in the world, a company in Disney that people are complaining about being a monopoly, and they're pandering to China, a communist country, a country that a lot of Americans look at as an enemy to the United States, and they're pandering to them directly. They're pandering to this communist country, and it's just not good for Disney. It's not good for the citizens of America. It's not really good for anyone other than China and Disney's pocket. But let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. What do you think Disney should do about the China situation? Do you think that they should stop pandering to them altogether, or does that make zero sense for them business-wise? I don't think that they would lose that much money. I actually think in the long term, it would help Disney out a lot to stop pandering to China, because they would gain a lot of fans in the long term. But you can let me know what you think in the comments about this entire situation. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter or join the Discord, both of those links will be in the description as well. But thank you for watching the video, and hope to see you in the next one.